Boyfriend is moving in with his girl best friend and I don't trust her one bit. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's sending me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for almost a year. When I met him, he already had a very big group of best friends. One of them was this girl. There's actually another girl in the group, but my boyfriend and this particular girl, let's call her Lacey. Lacey is completely obsessed with my boyfriend. I tell him all the time, but he doesn't want to listen to me. She goes out of her way to spend time with him, and she'll do girlfriend things for him. Sometimes she'll call him and say, I cooked us dinner, come over to my apartment. She even goes to his apartment and helps him do laundry. Let me go back though. When we started dating, he asked me not to be uncomfortable and that him and her were only good friends. But as soon as I saw them with each other, it was visible that she was in love with him. When he first brought me around to meet his friends, she was super territorial. She would sit next to him and even sat on his lap in front of me. And this made my boyfriend uncomfortable. He asked her to sit on a chair instead of his lap. After that, I asked him if he had feelings for her and he said no. He said he's only ever seen her as a sister, that the thought of hooking up with her makes him want to vomit. Lacey reached out to me and asked me to have lunch with her. Throughout the whole lunch, all she talked about was my boyfriend, and how amazing he is, and how only a good girl deserves him. Part 2 is up. My boyfriend is moving in with his girl best friend and I don't trust her. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. I was sending me on Instagram. When her and I went to lunch, all she talked about was my boyfriend. That's when she started saying things like, he only deserves a really good girl. That's when I was straight up with her. I told her that he had already chosen me because he loved me and that I didn't need her to tell me what my boyfriend needed. You guys should have seen the look on this girl's face. She was shocked that I would defend myself and even talk back to her. Then she said, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to make you feel bad. I told her that I didn't feel bad and that I knew what she was doing. She was basically trying to intimidate me and make me feel that I wasn't good enough for my boyfriend. She denied it and started apologizing, but at least I made it clear to her that I was not stupid and that she was not going to walk all over me like she probably did with all of his exes. By the way, one of his past girlfriends actually broke up with her because of this girl. I mean, Lacey. Found this out through one of the other friends. They told me that I needed to be careful with her. That's why I was prepared to go to lunch with her. Guess what happened though? I called my boyfriend to say hi to him and that's when he starts yelling at me. He said Lacey called him to tell him that I had attacked her at lunch, that I basically threatened her. I explained to him what happened from my point of view, and he said that she was probably just overreacting. But it was her word against mine. Part 3 is up. Boyfriend is moving in with his girl best friend and I do not trust her. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. It's sending me on Instagram. After Lacey told my boyfriend that I had attacked her and threatened her, he told me to keep my distance. So I did. But that meant that he would hang out with her without me. I found this completely unacceptable. That's when I told my boyfriend that she was manipulative, that she had clearly planned everything out so that he and her could be alone. Then I told him that his ex-girlfriend left him because of her. He told me that I didn't know the full story and that I should mind my own business. That's when I noticed that he wouldn't come over to my apartment every day. And guess why? His best friend Lacey told him that she had a stalker and that she needed my boyfriend to stay over her house so that she could feel protected and safe. I just can't. I told him that she was clearly manipulating him and probably lying about the stalker situation so that he could spend more time with her. And just like that, 2 days later, he told me that they were moving in together and that she miraculously found an apartment big enough for the two of them. In 2 days? I don't think so. I think she had been planning this the whole time and my boyfriend is just stupid enough to fall for it. I told him if he moved in with her that he should just forget about me. He begged me not to leave him, so I guess I'm still his girlfriend. He's still debating whether or not to move in with her. He says he doesn't want to lose me, but he wants to be able to be there for her. I think I should break up with him, but maybe there's another solution. What do you guys think I should do? Story time about how I found out my husband was seeing escorts while I was pregnant. Disclaimer, this is not my story time. Was sending me on Instagram. My husband and I have been married for 6 years. We had tried and tried for a baby, and we had a really hard time. The first 3 years of our marriage was hell. We tried so much to get pregnant, but we just couldn't do it. We went to the doctor, and that's when they told us that my husband had a little problem. So basically, he was the reason why we weren't able to get pregnant easily. Because of this, I had to undergo a lot of treatments. I started taking all this different medication, which really messed with my hormones. For the first time in my life, I got acne. I started to gain weight, and I also started getting mood swings. Unfortunately, my husband for some reason thought this was a character flaw of mine and that basically I should just be able to control my emotions. I took him to the doctor so that the doctor could explain to him what was happening to my body. Finally, the doctor told him that everything that was happening to me was because of the medicine that I was taking for us to have kids. My husband decided to apologize to me and wanted to take me on a trip. He took me to Hawaii for 2 weeks and it was beautiful. We ended up making up and it was the best time ever. A month later, we found out that I was pregnant. My husband was the happiest I'd ever seen him. 2 weeks later, I started noticing weird things in our bank account. We started sending $5,000 to one person in particular every single month. Tell me about how I found out my husband was seeing escorts while I was pregnant. Disclaimers are not my story time, was sent me on Instagram. That's when I noticed that every single month he would send somebody $5,000. It had been happening for 3 months. Right away, I was suspicious. A few months back, he and I had watched a documentary about escorts. And during the documentary, he kept judging all the women and the men. You know, acting greater than thou. And as soon as I saw the payments on our bank account, it's like a light bulb went off in my head. He must have seen that documentary and been like, wow, I know I can do that. Of course he can. My husband is a 40-year-old, good-looking, wealthy man. So that's when I started investigating. I had full access to his laptop, which had all of his text messages, as well as emails, and he never bothered to change his password on any of it. I waited for him to leave to the gym, and that's when I got on his laptop. And I uncovered a whole ring of escorts. Not only was he sending money to one girl through our bank account, he was paying other girls through Bitcoin. As I was crying in front of the laptop, I had the presence of mind to start adding up all the money he had spent. In only 3 months, my husband managed to spend $55,000, and from what I could gather, he had about 5 escorts. Keep in mind, he's doing all of this while I'm pregnant. So here's what I did. I managed to contact each girl and ask for the money back. And I basically threatened to expose them. One was a teacher, the other was a model, which I could contact her agency and accuse her. One was actually a stay-at-home mom who was married. Only one responded to my messages. Part 3 is up. Story time about how I found out my husband was seeing escorts while I was pregnant. Disclaimers are not my story time, was sent me on Instagram. Finally, one of the escorts got back to me, and she told me that she would give me all of the money back. My husband had given this girl $7,000 in the time span of 2 weeks. Then she spilled all the tea. She told me my husband had signed up to an escort website, and that he had anywhere between 10 and 15 girls. So there were other ways he was paying them, and I just didn't know about it. This is when I came to my senses. I told her she did not need to send the money back to him because it wasn't her fault. It was my husband's fault. Then this girl told me that my husband would talk bad about me to her, and that they would meet up at fancy hotels, and that's when he would tell her that I was a toxic wife, and that all I cared about was money. By the way, I make my own money. I told her I was pregnant, and she was mortified. I gathered up all the evidence, and I confronted my husband. That's when he said, finally, I don't have to hide it anymore. He told me that he didn't really think I would care. Since when? I asked him to tell me the truth and tell me how many girls he was seeing and how much money he had spent. And he confessed that he had seen over 20 girls and probably spent over $100,000. Then he asked me for a divorce. I'm kind of glad he did because I was going to divorce him anyway. I am going to get his money and raise our child on our own. His family is trying to convince me otherwise though. What should I do? Friends call me fat and ugly and he doesn't defend me. Disclaimers are not my story time, send me on Instagram. I basically spent the entire night in the bathroom crying. My boyfriend came over and knocked on the door. He instantly started apologizing to me. He knew that I had heard the entire conversation and told me that he was sorry. I asked him why he didn't defend me and he said that he didn't want to go against his friends. That they were his only group of friends and that he didn't want to get on their bad side. I told him next time he needed to defend me. That if he didn't do it, then I would. And he said, please don't get into a fight with them. They're really cool guys. I ended up leaving the party and I didn't say bye to anybody. A few weeks later, I had to hang out with them again. But this time they started talking about the way that I was dressed. One of them said that the dress I was wearing made me look really pudgy. And again, they would all laugh. And yeah, they said all of this in front of me. I looked at my boyfriend and said, are you not going to defend me? And they all started laughing at my boyfriend. By the way, if I haven't mentioned this, they all went to the same sorority. So I think they still have that sorority mentality. One of the wives that was there thankfully stepped in and told them that they were all assholes and that they needed to leave me alone because I looked good. A few hours later, somebody was talking about kissing. And one of them asked my boyfriend what it was like to kiss me because I had 0 lips. I instantly stormed out of the party. My boyfriend followed me. Part 3 is my friends call me ugly and fat and he doesn't defend me. Disclaimers in my story time, sent me on Instagram. They told him it must have been awful kissing me because I had 0 lips. Instantly ran out of the house and went to my car. I was so humiliated and once again my boyfriend did not defend me. He followed me to my car and I asked him if he loved me or not. He said he did love me. That his friends and him just had a different way of talking about girls. I told him that hurting my feelings was not a different way of talking. A few hours after I got home, one of the wives started texting me. She told me that his friends spent the whole night bad-mouthing me. And that essentially they were trying to convince my boyfriend to break up with me. They kept telling him that he could do better than me. That I had no ass and no boobs, that I was simply just not pretty enough. Finally, my boyfriend did tell him that he thought I was beautiful and that he liked me. That's when they all told him that he needed to get glasses. Here's the best part. A few hours after they all started getting even drunker, he told me that one of the friends started saying that he would want to F me and that it looked like I was probably good in the sack. What? So they want me, but they don't want me? That's when she told me her theory. She said that they probably found me somewhat attractive and that they didn't want my boyfriend to be with me because they wanted me. I feel like that's a little bit far-fetched. It's kind of like the thing in school they tell you. If a boy bothers you, it means that he likes you. Maybe it's true. Either way, I told my boyfriend that I would never hang out with his friends again, but I am thinking of breaking up with him. Can't believe that he wouldn't defend me, not even a little bit. And when he did, I wasn't even present. Also, the way they talk about women is just disgusting. I do love him though. What should I do?
My brother was playing Minecraft. An hour later he told me that he got a Minecraft girlfriend. I was surprised because I got a Minecraft boyfriend that day too. I was happy for him. My brother kept chatting with his girlfriend and I kept chatting with my boyfriend. We were chatting with them for days and days. Me and my boyfriend would make out in Minecraft. Smirking face. A few days later my mom told my brother to stop playing Minecraft because he was failing every class, even English, literally the language he speaks. But I noticed that ever since my brother stopped playing, my boyfriend stopped playing too. I thought it was a coincidence, so I didn't think much of it. My boyfriend didn't play for over a month, so I decided to just cheat on him. But then he joined me and he saw me cheat. We got in a huge fight and I blocked him. But then I heard my brother crying in his room saying he broke up with his Minecraft girlfriend. I told him I broke up with my Minecraft boyfriend too. That was the moment I realized I was dating my own brother. What the fuck? It made me and my brother so sick to the point where we got COVID. Anyway, me and my brother haven't talked ever since. Oh, and I didn't know my brother knew that much about WAP.